expect a sellout maybe later this week or early next. And then any player requests for next week, if you could email those to me by Friday, end of day Friday, that'd be great. And again, if you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get you in queue. We'll start with Coach Parker.
I just want to say thank you for guys for coming out today. There's two things that happened. I guess I just heard that there's only one bye week next year, so I only got to do this one time. And the good thing about it is I'm first, so I got to be off in 15 minutes. So that's another good thing. Anyways, just to give you guys a couple notes, the last bye week, we did a lot of evaluation stuff. We did some tweaks a little bit of how guys were preparing. This good 3 weeks over here, the last 3 weeks, it was a little bit different. Physical, guys were improving. And now this is a great time to have a bye week to look over some things in the South Scout, and then also preparing for, the Oregon game in 2 weeks. But I think our guys have been playing well. There's a lot of improvement in a lot of different positions. Very happy the way they've been, the takeaway have gone up a little bit in the last 3 games, which I think is a good benefit of our kids working hard and letting the plays that come to you and make the makeables that you can. And I think they've done a good job in that. Obviously, we've been close on a couple of those takeaways over there, getting them down to the 1 yard. We finally got one in the end zone last week with Lutmer's catch. But overall, guys, I think our guys are really working hard, and they've been working hard all the way through camp and all the way through the, this 8th game that we played. And we're looking forward to the next 4, which is going to be challenging. And nowadays in college football, you see it all over. It's week to week, and you just got to make sure you keep your guys focused and they're looking forward. And obviously they didn't practice today, at least the starters didn't. And then tomorrow we'll get them up on the field, and they'll do a little bit of more prep, a little bit of maybe the Oregon game a little bit, but just going back to get their fundamentals done. But I'll open it up to any questions anybody has.
Hey, Phil. Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Insider. Wanted to ask about Zach Lutmer. I know he was a guy that you mentioned a couple years ago, and now we've just kind of continued to see him ascend and arguably be one of the best defensive backs in the Big Ten. How have you seen him do that, and especially this season?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. He's a very quiet kid. He has great athletic ability, good footwork, and he sees things faster, than a lot of other people. And that becomes from repetition. And when you start going out into the recruiting road, you look for those guys that play multiple sports like he did. Play different positions, quarterbacks, plays basketball, does all those things. And he has the ability to diagnose plays a little bit faster. And he's just been improving, great kid to work on. Doesn't say very much, but, he's been very productive for us. And, we've been moving him around to a lot of different positions. I think he can play 5 positions, so very pleased the way he's working.
Hi, Phil. Scott Docterman with The Athletic. And I want to say I've seen more disruption out of your front 4, your defensive line, the last 3 weeks since the first bye. Is that schematic, or is that more them applying the fundamentals that they've been taught and improving in that area over the second half part of the season?
Well, I think it's twofold there a little bit. Obviously, they're getting more work up front. That's helping, and they're starting to understand the game a little bit more. Could be based on who you play, what we're doing in the back end, how can we cover guys up to let them get to the quarterback. Some guys get rid of the ball a little bit faster, so it's hard to disrupt them. But I think it's a combination of both things, I think they're growing. They're improving like we want our kids to do every week at every position. If they can keep on improving every week and always taking the standard up, and I think that's what's been going on with everybody, all 11 positions.
Hey, Phil. Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report. Wanted to ask you about Montgomery and his play so far, what you've thought of his play, and does Jaden Harrell get that starting spot back when he's fully healthy, or do you continue on with Montgomery?
Well, I think Montgomery's done a great job. He stepped in. He's been one of those guys in there. He's been in the program, understands what he has to do. He's been very productive, like the way he's playing. And, when Harold's come back and he's in full go, he still has a knee brace on him, so I mean it's a little bit harder to move with him. But no, I think you never take something away from somebody. Usually guys go out there and earn what they deserve to play, and the more he gets more comfortable and to that point, then we'll make that decision when it's there. But going back to Montgomery, I mean he's done a hell of a job for us, and we're pleased at what he's done. And it's hard to do when you're really like the quarterback of the defense and making all those front adjustment, coverage adjustments. So.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Curious about the secondary with Cohen, Xavier, Zach, TJ, and Deshaun. Why do you feel like they're playing at the level that they've been playing at?
I think the preparation, what they've been doing. Obviously, it's over a period of time when we started in August to now. There's so many different reps, the connection with guys, understanding how to go out and practice and prepare. And, you could go out there and try to be perfect, and that's what you try to do in practice so you can have a chance. And then you start seeing things, it's contagious when somebody, keeps on pushing guys. And I think the group of guys that we have, they just keep on pushing themselves, you know what I mean? It's not like, hey, you're in front of me or I'm behind you or anything. It's about the success for the team. And I think that's the way everybody looks at it, and that's the beauty about coaching. When you see that, sometimes it starts running itself. When you go into meetings, they already watched most of the film already, and they know what they did wrong and they know what they did good, and they know what they have to do to improve it. And I think everybody is taken, when you start going into it, there's only 4 more games left, right, of the regular season. And, they got to a point, we got in a position where, I know we're, 6-2 right now. Well, the only thing that really matters is the next one, because everybody just remembers the next game that you play. And I think they look at it like that as, hey, how can I get better, And I've been very pleased the way they've been handling the whole situation of, the rotation with some guys or just guys going out and how they practice. You know what I mean? It's fun to watch them practice. You don't have to coach effort, and toughness. And I think as the more they get to understand the game and get in the right positions, then you start seeing, a little bit more violent tackles, more turnovers, the opportunity to get the ball back for our offense.
Jackson Miller with the Daily Iowan. Coach, what have you seen from Max Llewellyn just over his career, and where have you seen him grow the most as a player?
I think he's starting to understand the game a little bit. He's, instead of just doing one thing that he likes to do, I think he's growing maturity-wise and understanding what he does. There was a play that happened a couple of weeks ago that we practice because we didn't know if he's going to peel on the back or not. And, the amazing thing, it happened in the game, and he peeled on him, a little bit later, but it was like his learning process of understanding what he has to do within the defense. I think he's a hard worker, great team player, and just like the way he hustles. You go watch some of these guys go practice every day, and you sit there, as a D lineman, you're going out there and you're hitting somebody every play, not like a DB where you're hitting them every, 5 or 6 plays. Them guys are going on it. They have to take a challenge of an offensive lineman on, and then they got to get to the ball. And their effort is, it's unbelievable what they've been doing. Yeah.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Phil, when it comes to, TJ Hall battled ups and downs throughout his first few years, but it seems like he's kind of taken that next step into being a truly kind of pretty elite corner for you. I guess, was there a moment in this past offseason where you could tell he's really starting to piece everything together, and on top of that, he lost a lot of leadership from last year's group? It seems like TJ's really stepped into that sort of leadership role and got one of the guys that you kind of need to step up.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. There's, mid-season last year, it probably wasn't going real well for him, and the way he battled through those challenges that he had, and this the way he goes about his work. And, I see him all the time in our building. He's always talking football, always trying to understand, and he's always positive with the other kids, the players. I think it's unique, and he is playing at a high level. It seems like every time we go out there, he's playing better than he did the day before practice, and then obviously the games he's playing better. So, I'm very pleased the way he's gone about it and the leadership that he's given to the back end.
Chad Lastico, Des Moines Register. I'm trying to decide which question to ask. Let's go with Buffington. Buffington's very impressive to us. Obviously has physical traits. shown up so far. How can you implement a freshman like that into the plans in November beyond what he's doing now?
Well, obviously, he's playing on a lot of special teams, and he had a chance to get on the field last week. But he's been working hard, and there's opportunities this week where he's practicing. You know, he's taking #1 reps over there. We're going to rest a couple of guys that are working a lot more than and rep-wise in special teams and regular time on the field. But he's a guy that keeps on growing. He's going to be a very good player, and the more and more chances he has to get reps out there, it's just going to increase his chances to get out there. And, you know, I could see him go on the field. You know, I critiqued him a little bit about on the interception. He caught maybe 2 or 3 of those in practice, just like that, nice and clean, you know, in his hands and stuff. And that one right there, he kind of body caught it a little bit to me. So I asked him, you know, how come he didn't catch it like the other one, you know? So he was a little bit off on that, but it was good for him to get in there, and you know, it was made by somebody else who was making another play in front of him, and then he just reacted, and you know, it's not like I'm surprised because I seen him do it in practice, you know. So that's the great upside that you see these kids. You know, we got a lot of young freshmen guys that are in that category that can help us.
Owen Sebring, KGAN. This is going to work off of Chad's question a little bit. Talking about the 3 linebackers who came in together, I feel like they're always going to be kind of connected, is Buffington, Weiss Coffin, Preston Reese. Just those 3 guys, I'd be curious about their development so far. And you talked about Cam already, but some of the other 2, how they're coming along and what you've seen out of them as, you know, true sophomores right now.
What you see a lot more probably on special teams, and the things that you guys probably don't get to see as much is the mentality, the attitude, the intensity that they play with in practice. And a couple of those guys, we got to kind of like calm them down a little bit in the middle of practice. Like, that's good, but we're practicing against our own guys. But I'm very pleased the way all of them are working, and they both all have that attitude, intensity, and energy, and want to compete on every snap. You know, and that's hard to do. It's hard to find those guys that want to do it every single play and do it. You know, I hate to use the word violent, but it is violent the way some of these guys are playing, and you just see the potential growing and growing day by day, you know. So they're really going to be a good fit. They're going to be really good football players, and if they might have a chance to help us in, you know, the next couple of weeks here.
Do 3 more for Coach. Start with Jack.
Hi, Phil. Jack Leder with KCRG. I want to take you back to the last time a top 10 team came to Kinnick, Indiana. At least from our perspective, it seemed like you were dialing up more zero pressure, man coverage, and sending 5 or 6 guys. Where I'm a C- football mind, but it seems like that's more of a high risk, high reward strategy against the top team. You have Oregon coming up. I'm not trying to trick you into revealing anything, but what did you learn from that Indiana game, and do you feel like that is maybe it's like too basic, but like, do you feel like that is something defensive coordinators have to lean on, is more high risk, high reward stuff against a really, really good team?
Well, if you want me to call Dan, I'll call him and let him know. But no, just going to your point, every game is different in how they're playing the game, and obviously their personnel is going to be different than the ones we faced. And you know, obviously there's times and risk and reward about bringing pressure when you have to, and I'm very selective when I try to do that. And I try to plan it out, but sometimes it doesn't work, and nobody really knows what I called, you know what I mean? So I can get away with that. But I think it all depends on how well you feel you guys are and feel comfortable with how you're playing. And I think it really determines on the game day. You can have a plan, but that plan might change, you know, during the game. Can we get to the quarterback? How fast is the quarterback getting the ball out? What do they want to do? Do they want to run the ball more? We just got to be more precise in when we pick it and choose when we want to come after somebody. And I think we could just going out there and just look at it reverse-wise. Indiana went out there, and I think they gave them guys a little bit of confusion with a young quarterback that was, you know, first year starting, I believe. And so it kind of changed some of, you know, how they defended them as an Indiana defense defended Oregon's offense, you know what I mean? So you pick up little things, but I don't think I'm going to change the way I've been working for the last, you know, I don't know how many years, but it runs out. But I'm going to be the same, you know, of how we do it. And basically when you pull out blitzes and Norm always used to say it's about the guy that's blitzing is the major thing. You know what I mean? Do you have a guy to go? Can he catch the guy? Not chase the guy, can he catch the guy? And so, and scheme-wise, you try to, make a free guy come free once in a while, but, they're pretty smart and they can get rid of the ball fast.
Madison Hurts for the Gazette. With Iowa going 3-0 in that 3-block stretch between the first bye week to now, and you've got Oregon right after, do you prefer having an extra week of preparation, whether it be to rest up some players or to start maybe figuring out what you want to do maybe a little bit sooner against this kind of opponent? Where are your kind of personal opinions
Well, I'm kind
on
of a
that?
routine guy, so I'd like to have no buys and just keep playing, right? But there's a bye. It gives us an opportunity, gives our kids an opportunity to rest a little bit, refresh, and I think it kind of worked out perfect. You have 5, you got 3, and then there's the home stretch in there, and I think the guys needed it. It's a wear and tear on your body. It's a physical game. It's a wear and tear every day in the weight room from you go all the way back to January to now. I mean, these kids have been working really hard, so they have a bye week too. So, does that give them a chance to adjust what they're thinking? So I don't know where their advantage comes besides, they got to travel here and we don't. We're already here. So I think it's all going to be played in between the white lines of the strategy. I think the biggest thing is how do they take advantage of this week and how do they prepare to be ready for the game. That's the most important thing. How do they process? And I think we have a lot of mature kids understand what it takes. Because let me tell you, there's, I said it earlier, any team can beat you, and you just don't know what play is going to make the difference. So let's make sure that you focus and try to play your best on every play, whatever it is. Awareness is a big thing that I think some guys just don't understand, the awareness, how fast. They could speed up the game. Some guys don't speed it up, like Minnesota didn't have wasn't going to the line that quickly and fast pace. These guys, I can see them switching gears a little bit and trying to get us off pace, not lined up, and I think I've seen that happen to some other teams already that we're watching that didn't actually get lined up before the ball snapped. I wouldn't want you guys to go in Chicago and unaware when you're in traffic at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in Detroit or Chicago, right? You better have your head on the swivel and be ready at all times. Okay.
Hey, Phil, Scott Dockerman again. I hope not to drive in Chicago traffic today, but anyway, I wanted to ask you about, continue the Oregon discussion a little bit. I'm sure you've already looked at them. What makes them tick? I mean, they're averaging 40 points a game. They lead the Big Ten in explosive plays and in run offense, yet they have some of the better, they have one of the better freshmen in the country, a great tight end. The quarterback's a first-year starter there. What do you see from them that makes them tick, and what are you going to have to concentrate on the most, besides fundamentals, of course?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they can execute. They have some, you start looking at their personnel. They got probably about 3 or 4 backs that are really good backs and highly touted backs. The receivers are, a couple of young freshmen in there playing that, and they can run. They're fast. So you worry about that. And the 2 tight ends are dynamic, and the big offensive line. So they have the whole package. It's well funded, if I put it that way. But they're very, very talented. The quarterback I did see, I sat there, on the sidelines watching Moore, playing at Martin Luther King. He's the same high school of Kenny Merriweather. So, I mean, I've seen him before, and he's definitely a good player, and it's going to be hard to defend. And the guys that he can throw it to are scary. You got to be fundamentally, you got to be sound, you got to be prepared, and you got to play tough physical. We got to play with 11 guys and playing their best at all times.
Okay, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
How you guys doing today? I'm doing great. But just like Matt said, feels like we've just been doing this, which wasn't that long ago. It's a much different feeling after bye week 1 and bye week 2. It's great to be a Hawkeye. I can say that first and foremost, right? Go out and beat Minnesota, keep Floyd home, and then on top of that, even better surprise or better news on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, I guess. Our special teams analyst Brock Sherman and his wife Crystal Sherman welcomed a brand new baby girl, Elena Sherman, into the world. So it's been a really exciting time around here in this building, and got a new member of the Hawkeye family. So we're really proud and really excited for them. Talking about special teams and kind of where things are at, happy with where we're at. Guys been playing, guys been working, guys been competing. They've shown up every single week. I think you guys have seen that on tape. Now they compete, they fight, they battle every position across the board. At times I think we've been dominant. And there's times also where there's a play here, a player there, something that we could just be a little bit better. So that's the focus this week, is just trying to improve and trying to see where we can be better and how we can do that. Is it scheme? Is it personnel? Is it a new face that comes in? Again, I think our units, when you look at our units, are a mix of some veteran guys, some guys that are up-and-comers, and then some guys that are brand-new faces. I think we saw that last week at Minnesota. But happy with where everyone's at, happy with what's going on. Veteran group, you're looking at Rexroth, you're looking at Harrell, you're looking at guys like Wampa, TJ Hall, Zach Lutmer, guys that are out there busting their butt every day, not only on defense and offense, but also in regards to special teams. And some of the up-and-coming guys, I think you see guys like Nolan DeLong, he's been here for a couple of years, is doing a really, really good job for us. Landon Van Kickrick's another guy that keeps showing up from week to week. So those guys are doing an excellent job. Alex Eichmann, again, maybe not getting the reps he wants on offense as a receiver, but doing an excellent job for us on special teams. Bryce Hawthorne's another one in that world. Hayden Large, guys that continue to contribute for this football team. And some of those brand new faces, I think we all saw KJ Parker last week, which is fun. It's kind of been the last couple of weeks in the making for him. Really excited for him. An awesome young kid, great future, high energy. Just trying to find the best places for him. Preston Reese, Derek Weiskopf, Cam Buffington stepped in there as well. So again, a good group of kids, good mix of kids that are kids. I mean, some of them are men. Some of them are actually married with wives now. But again, it's a great group, and I think that they love each other. They compete. They scrap. I don't think there's any better picture for a team that loves each other and cares about each other than the Penn State game a couple weeks ago, and found a way to pick each other up and get the job done. So again, happy with where everything's at, and continue to push forward down the stretch. Who's got questions?
Scott Docterman with The Athletic.
Hello, Scott. Great to meet you.
Good to see you. How you been?
I'm doing awesome.
I feel like there's nobody in this country I'd rather talk to about punt and kick returners than you. I mean, you played alongside Tim Dwight. You played against Devin Hester, Brian Mitchell, Dante Hall, and then now you've coached Amir, you've coached Charlie Jones, you've coached Cooper DeJean, the list goes on and on. Now you've got Caden Weegan. In what ways does he maybe have similar skills and traits as some of those great players you competed against and have coached? And in what areas is he possibly unique to where he is maybe better than even a few of those other guys in those areas where he's been able to be so successful?
Yeah, I think right off, another name you left off is Antoine Randall, who was a quarterback in college, who was an unbelievable competitor as a quarterback, and then I faced him as a punt returner, and he brought one right back against us. I think I was with Detroit at that time, and he was in Pittsburgh. But again, another really good returner. But I think Caden has the sky's the limit for him. One, he's fearless, which you have to be a returner, especially a punt returner, right? Because there's not much time. You have to make a quick decision. People are bearing down on you right away. He's built low to the ground, okay, which helps him because he's sturdy. He's not going to go down on the first hit, And I think he does a great job making decisions and judgment. It didn't always happen that way. It wasn't that way at the beginning. He had to work. He had to put in his time. I think he's a very unique story in that when he came here, he was fast, and he was going 100 different directions fast, but never the right direction. And I think he put in the time, and he learned, and he studied, and it's become a thing for him. I talk to our players about the three levels of people. There's people that are interested. Okay, they kind of show up. I'm kind of interested. Yeah, it sounds good. I'm committed. Hey, coach, I'm here every day. Or there's people that are obsessed, and they're finding all the different ways, the tricks, what more can I do? And I think Caden's in that world, in the obsessed world, and he continues to do that each and every week. And he's surrounded by 10 guys every day that go out there and bust their butt for him. And they love him, and they want to get him in the end zone. I think you saw that on Saturday. I mean, those people were so excited for him. You know, and it's been fun to watch because he's become an electric playmaker. He's become dominant at what he does, and you can feel the crowd anytime he's back there. I can hear it through my headset. You know, it's all of a sudden you hear the crowd just roar on their feet through a headset, and people are talking on that. So it's fun to watch for sure.
Relatively new here. David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com.
David, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you, LeVar. So speaking of, I want to continue on with Caden when it comes to his fearlessness. I think that's the first thing that pops off when you watch him on tape and in a game. How important of a factor is that for returning or a returner? On top of that, like, when do you know if somebody's fearless when you're auditioning guys on kick return, on punt return? How much of it is just their natural approach to it, and how much can you teach? And is it even possible to kind of build on? They might have a skill set, but they don't have that fearlessness.
Sure. I think a lot of it's decision making, right? So you can find out how people make decisions. We do that through drills, put guys in competitive situations, put guys out in front of the crowd at spring game or at the kids scrimmage where there's 20, 30,000 people out there. Everyone can do it off jugs and it looks good, and the offensive linemen are catching punts off the jugs. The linebackers, oh, it's great. Hey, I can do this, coach. And then all of a sudden you put them out in front of a crowd, and all these people are talking, and you get nervous, right? So you can see that. That's one way to test guys. Another way is through drills, right? Competitive but controlled drills. But then the reality is you just have to watch a guy and you have to know a guy. And you see him on offense, you see him on defense, you see what he does in those elements, and then can he do it? And again, going back to decision making, right? You can teach kids how to make decisions, what way to make faster decisions. Some of that stuff, though, is innate. And, there's a guy sitting back there in the defensive room right now, Desmond King, who there's some stuff he had that was innate. Now, he didn't have the same speed that Caden Weegan had, the breakaway speed, which, by the way, you forgot Desmond King. Yeah, forgot Desmond King. But Micah Hyde, forgot him too. What's that? I was, yeah. Yeah. He fell down. The one touchdown he had, he fell down. So anyway, I actually did tell both of them, Desmond and Micah, I was like, man, I wish I was coaching you guys right now. It would be so much better. You guys would have each 5 touchdowns. And anyway, back to what I was talking about, that again, there's some stuff you can coach and some the guys got to have. And I think Caden's got a good mix of both. It wasn't easy at all, and it hasn't been easy, and it's still a work in progress, and there's still more he can improve on. But he's playing very confident right now. And again, he's a dangerous weapon back there.
Hey, LeVar, Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Insider. Wanted to ask about KJ. You mentioned him in your opening statement, but I think it was either a couple weeks ago when we first saw him in 32, and everybody's like, who the heck is
32?
that? And I guess, when did his potential start to show to you in just playing special teams from the get-go? Because he was a guy we heard about as a receiver, and now all of a sudden he's on special teams. So I guess I'm curious how it all materialized.
Yeah, I think we saw some of his athleticism and playmaking last year as a freshman on the scout team, right? You saw some of that. That sounds good when someone's showing you a card, and here's run this line, do this, do that. It's easy to do, right? Easy to see those things. But then when a kid has to he gets put in the game, he has to make his own decisions, see his own reads. It's a much different deal. And KJ's been a work in progress over fall camp and into this season, and he's done a really good job. And he'll be the first to tell you, I gave him a tongue lashing like nobody's business last week in practice, but he took it and he made the corrections and he improved, and he goes out in the game and does it well, and makes 2 huge plays. Almost blocks a punt, right? Guy shanks it off 13 yards, sets up a score for us. And then the other one was a huge block for Caden's touchdown. Those are things you can coach kids, and you can try to put them in the best position. You can teach them and show them, but at some point they got to go out and make the play. And I think KJ did that, and he took the coaching and he's improved. And he's a great kid, great energy. It's got the sky's the limit for this kid not only on special teams but also on offense. And if he ever wanted to play defense, I think he could do that too. And special teams is sort of a mix of that for him. But he's got a really bright future.
Owen Sebring, KGN.
Owen, great to see you, man.
Yeah, it's LeVar, right?
It is, LeVar, yeah.
I wanted to ask, have you step into dad mode for a second. You and your former teammate, Jerry Montgomery, are the first Hawkeyes to play for Kirk as a head coach and then have a son play for him as also their head coach. And so just wonder about that special dynamic, because as a dad, I know it takes a lot to want to send your son off and trust them with a program like that. And so for you to be able to send him to a coach, you're here too, obviously, but to send him to a head coach that you know so well and that you played under, that's something that not many people in the country get a chance to do, but just the special relationship that you're able to build between you and Mason and Kirk as well.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the culture here at Iowa. Very rarely do you go to a place where a coach has been there 5 years or 10 years, talking about 26 years, right? So it's a completely different deal here at Iowa. Again, most people don't have those experiences. Robert Galler was here this past weekend, Steinbach last weekend, Considine was here. You just go back to guys that are been playing here played here a long time ago, and the head coach is still the same. So it's very rare. So we'll start with that, and then you'll have the experience. And with Coach Ferentz, he was my head coach. Came in during a time of transition, completely changed this place, changed the culture, changed a lot of things, and also kept the things that need to be kept. And I think that's a great way to approach it. But the things that I heard from him as a young guy, when I used to have hair, curly hair, and I tell kids this all the time, we used to sit in seats not as comfortable as the ones they sit in, but as over in that old building, and the messages are the same. Going back to his first press conference in 1998, the same messages. Okay, so to me, those are things that you want for your son. You want the consistency. You want people to hear the messages that you heard that help shape you, that help turn you into the person you are. And I think we're lucky to have that here with Coach Ferentz. And Jerry's, I'm sure, speaks the same way and feels the same way. Jaden, his son, it's fun to be around him. I call him Jerry probably three or four times a day. Some of that's on accident, some of it's on purpose, just to mess with him. But it's a very unique place here. It's very, very cool to be here and just be in those kind of situations. And there's going to be more players, sons that have come through this place too. So it'll be fun.
Chad Leistiko, Des Moines Register.
Chad, where are you from? Des Moines
Iowa
Register?
City originally. Reese, I would say when you see Reese punt and warm-ups, and we've seen it happen, they're booming, but it doesn't seem like it's translated as much in the game. Is something, what needs to get better, I guess, going into November with your punting?
Yeah, I think some of this too, if you watch Reese and you know Reese and you've been around him, he's a young kid still. I shouldn't say kid, he's an adult, okay, but he is young and fairly inexperienced compared to other guys that have played the position and other guys that play the position here. But there still is that maturation process as a human being, and he's going through that, and he's fully capable, and he's got the sky's the limit for him, and we have not seen his best at all. Okay, so that's encouraging, that's exciting, and that's what drives you as a coach and as a competitor, because we want to get that out of him, and then get him to the point where he's consistent and feels comfortable doing it every single time. I know Torrey went through some of the same stuff. If you go back to, he came in 2020, did really well. He couldn't tell you how he did well. You go into 21, maybe not the same. There are flashes, right? Sort of like with Reese, there's flashes that you see, but I think it's just consistency over time, and you see that through all specials. Look at Drew Stevens, right? He came in, boom, set the world on fire year one. 89% field goals, 3 50-yard field goals. That gets you to the Pro Bowl in the National Football League, okay? And then he comes in year two, and it's good one day, next day, up and down. There's some of that going on, I think, with young players. And it's not just that position, but it's youth. And my job as a coach is to get him to where I know he can be and be consistent, and his job as a player is to do that same stuff. So, again, we'll just continue working, and that's what this week is for, and expect more out of him. Expect more out of myself, too.
Ethan Petrick, Quad City Times.
What's up, Ethan?
Well, how are you?
Well, how are you?
Only 5 more guaranteed games with Caden. Sam's been his backup this year. He's also a senior. What's your depth like in terms of younger guys at that kick and punt return position? Do you feel like you have the next guy in that lineage on the roster right now? And what does it take to find and then develop that, kind of building off David's question?
Yeah, I think if you know us and you watch us, there's someone else on this team. There's someone else out there. KJ Parker's one I'll throw out. You mentioned Sam. I think McNeil can do this. I think there's other guys out there. Zach Lutmer, okay, because we've all seen him, right? We all saw his touchdown that he scored. That looked like a punt return to me. And so there's guys on our team right now. I'm sure during recruiting we'll find someone else that we feel like could do that. So we just continue to develop them and continue to put them in those drills I mentioned before and those situations, trying to test them and put them back there. Again, same thing with Caden. Like Caden, it took a while for him to get put in there, and really his opportunity came through injury. And there's a couple other guys. I would say Jackson Nave is a young guy that no one's ever seen or heard of, and he continues to do a good job in practice. But we haven't tested him yet. We haven't put him out there. So we'll just continue to do that.
Madison Nortz, the Gazette.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing good. I wanted to ask, I know like the punt return game and everything is a big thing, but Drew Stevens just broke the school's record for career made field goals. Obviously, he's had his ups and downs throughout his career, but how have you seen him develop the consistency to be able to break that kind of record?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with Drew. I think it's a very unique story, along with Caden. Like, very talented. I'll say Drew was going 100 miles an hour in 100 different directions in his way, and as a kicker would go. I mentioned his first season already, and then you have a lull in 2000, or his second year, right? Up and down, inconsistent. Then he comes in and battles his way back in year 3 and has another really good year. Again, that puts him on par, and I've done the studies and all this stuff. It puts him on par with the top 10 players at his position in the National Football League. So I think he's that kind of player, that kind of talent. You guys can look all this up because I'm sure you will at some point. But my point is, I think that's the mark of the person, who he is. He's a competitor, right? He's when he first came here as a freshman, he was 165 pounds. He'd go out there and we'd all look at him like, oh my God, this guy, like, wait for him to kick this, and boom, the ball would jump off his foot. And so you can tell there's a competitor, there's a tiger in there somewhere just waiting to get turned loose. And I think for him, it's been every single day trying to be consistent, trying to get better, try to improve at what he does. He does it very quietly, doesn't say much, at least around me he doesn't. I'm sure he's different personality away from me. But I'm really proud of that kid, and as proud of any guy I've ever coached because of how he battles and how he competes. And again, he hit probably the highest of the high and the lowest of the lows you can hit at that position, and he's fought his way out of it. And so I believe in that guy, believe in him wholeheartedly. I know his teammates do too. I know Coach Ferentz does. And so he continues to show us in practice, so we continue to put him in situations.
Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report.
Hello, Tom.
Nice to meet you.
Great to meet you. Quad Cities, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah.
most of the time. One of the more impressive things about the return game is the blocking that takes place. Can you kind of take us inside how you build that as a team and executing those blocks?
Yeah, so it's going to sound simple, okay? It's going to sound simple, and anyone that's ever played here in the last, probably call it 10 years, has heard of these drills. So you hear of a void zone compete, and you hear a void zone compete on an angle, then you hear combat zone, okay? And so all the guys, ask any of the players now, someone will get squeamish when they hear combat zone, okay? Because they know it's physical, and they know it's like, one guy's going to win, one guy's going to lose, one guy's probably going to get run over. There's been a bunch of guys that have come through here that have gotten run over, prominent players that are playing on Sundays that have asked me to take the video off the server, and I refuse to. Because it's what football is, right? It's combative, and it's competition. And so we simplify it down to those 3 drills. And if you can do those 3 drills as a cover man or as a blocker, again, that's kickoff coverage and kick return. If you can do those things, then you can go out and compete. And that's how we build our units, how we build our system, and then we put it all together, and we try to simplify it to that. Because if you don't, the field is 120 yards long, 53 1/3 wide, and oh my gosh, I have to block this one person on this huge field. When in reality, it's you have to block that person on a 5x5 box. So if you can do that, then you can help our unit. Now, we got guys that do it and do it well. We've got more than the guys that are playing, because I think our guys have really bought in and really working hard, but only 11 guys get to play right now. So, but I feel like our guys understand it. I feel like they're working hard at it. You go in the punt return game, there's the pressure piece of it, and there's the hold up at the line of scrimmage piece. Again, all stuff that we drill in competitive fashion. And then there's the trail phase where you have to make a decision. Can I still make a block and finish on this guy, or do I have to pull off? Like KJ, going back to him, he rushes the punter, and then all of a sudden realizes he can't catch up to everyone else. So the rule is, if you can't be smart, turn around, find someone else. And he found the punter and put him right on his back. And to me, that's how you finish. It's how you score touchdowns, right? It takes guys to understand all that, and I think our guys are doing that right now. We just got to continue doing it, continue working at it, because there's more out there for us.
Mitch Vick, KGAN. Nice to meet you. Kind of connected to that question, how do you find an 11 for a return, 11 for coverage, beyond just running drills and seeing who rises? I imagine it factors in who's not on the two deeps, or maybe you have to ask to see if a guy can get some reps for you. Just what do you look for in finding Matthew Slater-esque mentalities of just embracing special teams?
I go back to it is those drills. I mean, people think it's not those drills. It is those drills. Like, that's the opportunity for you to show us. Then we also watch all of the offensive plays, the defensive plays. We watch the tape. Hey, he would be really good at this. He would be really good at that. Hey, this is very natural to him. Which we've tried to do some things with players that aren't natural to them, and it doesn't always end up well. So we just try to find out what they're natural at and what they do well, and then continue to build on that and try to relay it from offense to special teams or defense to special teams. And just try to keep it as simple as possible so guys can go fast. And when they go fast, they know what they're doing. They go fast, and they love each other. They care about each other. They compete. It's fun to watch. And I'm telling you, that's what you guys are watching right now. It isn't like anything magical, mystical. It's hard work. It's understanding what you're doing each and every day, and guys pushing each other, and guys competing, and guys wanting to win, and then also guys caring about each other.
Last question, Tyler.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Nice to meet you,
Hello,
LeVar.
Tyler.
Curious
Pleasure
about
to meet you.
curious about the future of the kicking game, because obviously this is Drew's last season. You have Caden Burr. What do you feel? I mean, are you gonna think that you'll look in the portal high school ranks to bring guys in? Where do you feel like? How do you feel like Caden Burr has come along? Where do you kind of see the future of that room once Drew is gone?
Yeah, where the future, I mean, man, I'm trying to focus on these next games, so I don't, I can't tell you I'm going that far right now. But Caden, I think he's done a really good job. Part of his plan was to come here early, right, to get in the mix and be with Drew, train with Drew. I think he's done a good job with that. You guys saw him in spring game. You saw him in the Kids Day scrimmage. He's done a really good job, and he's been put in some situations that a freshman really, I don't think Drew could have handled as a freshman. Okay, if you will. And I think Caden's done a really good job with it. Now, again, I go back to the youth and inexperience, inconsistencies, things like that we have to continue to build on. But very happy with him, glad he's here, and can just continue to build with him. And he's gotten 1 rep so far, and 1 rep he went in as a kickoff against, I think, UMass, and did a really good job with it. Like, better than I thought he could do. And so there's something in there with this kid, and I really like him and glad he's here.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
That's it. All right, thank you guys. Matt, you lied?
It wasn't hard at all. You heard it. Don't slip.
I mean, what is this? I feel like it might be more slippery with them. How you guys doing? Good. Very good. I just want to start out by I want to thank the Iowa Hawkeye fans. It was maybe I was just too nervous last year to realize the environment in Kinnick was quite what it is. And I came from Lambeau, which is a pretty special environment. But the last 2 weeks, it's been an unbelievable advantage for our. And I'm still in a box up there, and it kind of, the sound comes through the windows, and what an atmosphere for our football team. So it's been a lot of fun. So thank you to them. I want to thank the seniors. I mean, we have a special group: Logan Jones, Bo Stevens, Jennings Dunker, Weege, Gill, Sam, Seth in the wideout room, Mark's in my room, obviously. Hayden Large, Addison Ostrang in the tight end room. We have a great group that's really kept our guys focused on just getting better each week. Head into the bye week, huge week for us, for the young guys. KJ Parker, Nathan McNeil, guys that need reps. Their time on task, muscle memory, it's a real thing. And this is our week. Older guys get to rest a little bit, still hopefully do some individual and get a little bit sharper on the things that we're working on. So hopefully we have a good week. Today was a great day. Tomorrow will be another one. But overall, the group's done a great job of just focusing on winning during the week. We always say you can't win on Saturday if you don't win during the week. And we've been getting after it on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and we're going to have to continue to do that because we got a lot of things to improve on. And but I'm happy with just the way they're going about their business. So with that.
Hey, Tim. Chad Leister.
One question, Chad.
I know. I got to make it good. Chad Leister, Des Moines Register. Realize you only got 4 games left, but what is a realistic expectation for where this passing game can go from here over the next month? I mean, obviously we'd love it to see it, 350 yards, but what's realistic for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question because it depends on who we play, what they're giving us, what our matchups look like. I really felt, really going into the Indiana game, we were climbing, and obviously one injury in particular, slowed that up a little bit. But I feel like we're getting back. We're getting healthy again. We're able to. We're throwing the ball more accurately than we did last week. And but we just have to keep at it. The plays haven't changed. We're still. We came close on a couple big ones last week. I'm calling it the same way. And so. And it also depends on how the game goes. And we've had two really interesting games where it's with a 30-point lead and with 10 minutes left in the third. And so. So that changes things. When you get in a shootout, kind of like Rutgers, it's a different style of game. So I just want to see them continue to improve, and run the routes with the right technique. Quarterbacks getting through the progressions like they should, getting to their launch points. They're doing a really good job of getting their launch points. We took 2 sacks last week, both on the quarterback. Had a chance to throw it, hesitated, and ended up taking a sack when the ball could have come out. Our line was doing a great job, so he knows that. So that's the fun part about coaching Mark is you rarely have to correct him. He normally tells me what I'm about to say, like, I got to hit that. You're like, yes, because I was about to say that, So it's fun, to watch, to have a guy that really gets it and is, trying to improve and understands what we're trying to do. And we just got to continue to get better at doing it.
Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report.
Hey, Tom.
I think the last time we met with you, you kind of hinted that something was going on with Hecklinski, that he was on the move up the charts. What have you seen from him? How would you characterize that race at the backup position right now? It's
close. They're both young, right? And but he had a really good day. The day I talked to you, he had a phenomenal day, and he really had a great Wednesday of that first bye week. Just understand the offense, seeing where the ball needs to go, having the confidence. He has great anticipation. He hasn't had to use it much thus far, but still has a lot to learn. He made some mistakes today, but made some huge throws today as well. So, his anticipation is something that is natural to him, and he just needs to continue. He needs more reps, of running the plays we get the coverage we want, understanding the timing of it and where to put the ball. And whereas, Hank, who's had a great day today, he needs to work better on when plays break down. Hank's really good when the pitcher's clear. And when it's everything that every young quarterback goes through, right? And they're all a little different, and you're trying to get them to the same place, But Heck's done a great job. He's been relaxed when he went in there. RPO decisions have been solid. I wanted him to dump the ball off on the inverted triple option, but he chose to run it in, which is fine. Which is weird because I would not have bet that he would not have passed that up and took it himself. So he was pretty excited to get in the paint. So it was fun to see. But he's continuing to get better, and they're competing, and this is a big week for them. Today was a good day, and tomorrow will be another one.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com.
Hey.
Tim, with such an established offensive line and probably one of the most dominant run blocking, you finally have your full plethora of running backs back for I think like the second time this season.
Yeah.
I guess with so many different guys that you can go to in the running back room with that offensive line, does it take pressure off of the pass game to progress as quickly as you'd like it to do and maybe give some of the younger receivers a chance to breathe a little bit and actually go through the process of improving? Or how are you kind of approaching that?
That's a good question. I would think every offensive coordinator in the United States would answer yes to that question. Anytime you can run the ball, it takes pressure off your pass game, period. It increases the chances of your play pass, and movement game. And I really feel like in the last couple of weeks, Kamari's really taken steps, as far as breaking tackles, falling forward. I think we got shoestrung tackled in the first 5 weeks more than any team in the history of teams. If we blocked a 5-yard run, we got 5, and we blocked a 4-yard run, we got 4. We never blocked a 4-yard run and got 10. And we've just been starting to do that. It's great to have Jazz back. So. When 2-yard runs or 4-yard runs become 8-yard runs, that gets you into second and short. Everyone knows the playbook's wide open on second and short. So the answer is 100% yes. The more efficient we are in using, obviously, that those guys up front are playing at a really high level. And so having that in your back pocket does make it a lot more fun to call an offense.
Ethan Petrick, Quad C Times. From a physical perspective, physical traits perspective, has Mark changed?
Physical what?
Physical traits perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Has Mark changed what you're looking for in recruiting at all? And from an intangibles perspective, how rare is it to find a guy who has that desire to get better and has that leadership ability that he's shown through his 8 games?
Yeah, it's extremely special. Just the leadership qualities of him and the way I mean, when he stepped in the huddle against Wisconsin, because I wasn't sure he was going to play, like we were going to win that game. I mean, our guys were going to play so hard for him because he was out there and gutting it out and probably not feeling great, but he was out there anyway. Recruiting wise, I don't know how to recruit. I've had a lot of quarterbacks that can throw the ball, that are smart, that learn how to play on time. I've had some that were quick enough to go get a first down. I've had some that, like Sully, that runs like a wide receiver. I've never had one that runs like a fullback, though. This is the first. And that's where it's unique because we still use him on the edge. You saw the first touchdown. There's still things you can do because he can run well on the edges, but probably not as dynamic as Sully was. But man, being able to run counter, with your quarterback is super unique. So I don't know how easy those guys are to find. If I could find one, I'm all in. But they're definitely a unique group, and it takes a lot of pressure, off the offense in the red zone and on short yardage, which is a huge part. Gives us just more time to focus on his footwork, his timing. I mean, he got through his progressions a couple times. He'd be the first to tell you that we were off balance a little bit. The ball's, accuracy wasn't where we needed to be, and that's something he can do. He's just getting comfortable. He's wearing a brace on his front knee now, which is it's different to throw with that thing on. He's getting more comfortable with it, so I think it's just going to continue to get better.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Curious about with Jeremy. He's only really been here for a few months.
Yeah, I know.
Like how have you kind of seen him progress, I guess, from when he first got here to this point?
Really, I think the time on task, because one of the things that's unique about him is his timing, right? He gets rid of a ball quick now. He doesn't have to get his feet set. He can just blink and the ball's gone, which is different than Mark. Mark gets his feet set, gets it underneath him. So it takes sometimes him a little bit longer. So the biggest thing for him was time on task and understanding the play and where we're trying to hit it. Because once he understands the play, then his skills really show. Early on he was trying to run that play, the timing of the play, what he's looking at, what kind of RPO is it, what kind of check is it, run check wise. He had a couple run checks in the game. I was proud of him. It's not something I think he's done a ton, So I think that's the biggest thing is the more he's around it, the more he understands where we're going and why we're going there. And the timing of the whole thing. He's got an unbelievable hard count. He got him to jump on the first play. So he's really starting to get comfortable with it. And then his skills can start showing even more because he can start using them within the offensive structure, right? So that was his biggest thing is how long can he be around it, because what he did in high school and at Wake is a lot different than here. So he's embraced it. He made a check out there today that was awesome. I don't think anybody that was in there with him knew the check, but it was the right check. He had to tell everybody what to do to get the playoff, but it was impressive. So he's coming along, which has been fun to see.
Hi, Tim.
Hey.
Scott Docterman with The Athletic. I've got one that could take an all-day answer if you allow it to. Which would hurt my TV
I can talk.
friends.
I'm good at it.
That is, when you came up with the concept here of the mid-zone run.
Yep.
And you tried, and you explained it to, I'm sure, Kirk and also to George and Liddell at the time. And did you plan on teaching it to them, for them to extend it, to teach it to, whether it was George to the linemen, to Liddell or Omar now to the running backs? Or did you explain the concepts and let George decide, okay, this is what our aiming points are going to be? Or did you work with them on that? How did that kind of all come together? Because I know
it was a crazy couple months, I could tell you that.
It could be a couple month answer.
Yeah, I mean, it was, so what a unique opportunity to come in here, and work at a place like this with an offensive line like this with some tight ends and running backs when it comes to the run game wise, But I was the only one that knew it. Obviously Coach had been around a similar system, and so they knew it a little bit, but I had to teach everybody everything. So we sat in that staff room for, oh my Lord, hours on end. And I tried to teach them as much as I could, as if I was the O-line coach, as if I was the tight end coach, and and the wideout coach. And it was long. And then we went through spring ball, and we kind of went through and we actually did install meetings my first spring. I ran them. So we were all together, which doesn't happen anymore. We put a play in. Abdul takes it tight. We all go our separate ways to really detail it up. But the first spring, it was just me in a room with, trying to hit everybody at the same time so they could hear from one voice. And then as soon as spring ended, we went up to Green Bay because they were ready to go ask the pros You know, I couldn't get that deep like Luke Butkus or, you know, I mean, some of those guys, they get into it. So, and I think we had better questions by that point because we had already kind of gone 15 practices against our defense. And, you know, Bud had a lot of good questions on, hey, when they spin away, like, where do you have, what angle do you have them take on this backside cutoff and stuff like that. So, so that was really, it was really just all of us in a room communicating about what they've done. We had tons of film from all different places. I mean, a lot of it was from our system. But I've been running this run scheme for a bit, you know, and so I had some old Division III film I showed him as far as our aiming points and why I like the aiming points the way they are. And then he explained it to Dunk, and Dunk was like, I get to go through that guy? Yeah. He's like, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to position block him, go through him. And so that actually fits him beautifully, you know, this run scheme, at least the mid zone does. So yeah, it started off as a group. I think I did the best I could before we went up to Green Bay, and we've made little adjustments. I mean, I have two unbelievable offensive line coaches here. George has done a phenomenal job getting that group to where it is now, and of course, Coach Ferentz is sitting at the end of the table. So it's pretty unique to be sitting in a room with guys with that much knowledge in the run game, and they've added things to it, which has been good. And so it's been fun for 2 seasons to keep. You have to stay ahead of the curve, you know, because guys are doing different things, and it seems like sometimes we see adjustments to every defense for our outside zone scheme because you don't see a lot of it. So you kind of prepare for one front, and then you get this totally safety standing in the middle of the box last week, which they'd never shown. But there's some new stuff that we have to adjust to on the fly, and we've just been together long enough that we're doing a better job of making the adjustments in game too, because we are seeing not every day, but we are seeing some unique stuff because those 5 guys up front and those tight ends, they're blocking at a pretty high level right now.
Hey, Tim. Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Insider. Two-parter on Mark. Forgive me here, just bear with me on just in some rewatches. It kind of seems like his throws that he misses are overthrows, maybe a little bit late. How do you adjust to that? Am I correct when I say that?
Sometimes yes.
Okay. Second part, I know you said you offered the opportunity to check into plays last year. Didn't really happen. Is that gratifying for you to see Mark do that? Maybe why does he have the confidence to do it?
Did you see him in and out of a ton of them this weekend? I mean, he went into one, then into the other, and then re-racked the other one. I'm like, we just went into a play, out of a play, back into a play. I mean, him and number 3, they were literally staring at each other. It was like, what are you going to do? And he'd back up, and he would go like this, and then he'd come down, and he'd do this. So we can go all day, you know. And he ended up picking the right one because the guy spun to the middle. We ran counter. But it was and we had a trick play on that not a trick play, but a deceptive play, you know, that he got out of and then turned it back on. And I wish he would just stayed out of it, you know, because the safety was messing with him, and safety won that one. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch his knowledge of the run game and being in control. I mean, really started it. I'd say at Rutgers, he was on it, man. He got us into running. It doesn't mean you're going to gash them when you run at their weakness, but I mean, the more you do it, when you hit it, you're going to hit it. You know, and 2-yard runs are 4-yard runs and 4. I mean, and he just was able to get us into plays and give a credit to everybody when you're calling 2 plays in the huddle. You know, that those guys are all dialed into which one when we're going on to off to re-rack it. You know, so that part's fun. As far as the passing game, yeah, biggest thing is he sailed 2 corner routes, you know, kind of locked out his front knee. He's got it's really just got to balance that front knee out. I mean, he's really loading his back hip really well right now because that's the healthy one. So he's actually playing lower, which I like, you know. He's got a ton of power. We just got to control that front leg. He's getting more and more comfortable with you know, you have to twist. You know, you got to rotate through that thing. And when he gets it locked out, it sails. He's got such a strong arm, it never comes down. It just keeps going. I think one of those corner routes might have landed in the stands. Was like 2 weeks ago, I think. And then when he bends it too much, then he ends up being low. So he's like kind of a low and high thing going on right now, which we can fix. It's just time on task, you know, because these are things that weren't issues pre, and that they're shown up a couple times now. And as soon as he sees it, we talk about it, we drill it, and it's gone. So I'm kind of hoping that's the same process that we go through with this. And but then he throws some great ones. And he's scrambling, he's using his legs. You know, that 3rd down and was a 3rd and 11 throw was a great one. They played zone. He had to progress through, got out phase 2, phase 3, and then found Jacob Gill did a great job of scramble drill rules, push vertical. There's someone on top of him, snap back, 1st down. That's the first time that's happened here since I've been here. even though we've been practicing scramble drill, trying to get better at it, you know. There's some things that are really coming along, and there's some things that we got to continue to work on.
Mitch Vick, KGA, and just wanted to ask about what Warren and Billy have brought to their roles, particularly with Warren, and just what his cut-ups. I know Mark's raved about them already, and just what they do to help prep every week.
Oh, it's
early
awesome.
on.
Like, I mean, I literally just came out of the meeting. We've been in there for about an hour and a half of just, Billy and Warren's presentation. They've been watching Oregon now since last Wednesday. And so they summarize everything we're going to see. They make cut-ups. We all sit and watch together, and we'll start game planning probably tomorrow on it. But having someone 2 or 3 days ahead, it's unbelievable when you put, like last year, we'd start watching on Sunday night, and then you have to put a game plan together, which you've only watched like an hour or two of film, which feels horrible inside. And then you start getting settled with the defense. I was the same as a quarterback. It got to the point like on Tuesday and Wednesday, if I closed my eyes, all I saw was this defense. And I knew the number and 9 and 11 and 42. Like I knew where everybody was. That's the only thing that was in my head. Problem is by that time our week of practice is over. And it's like, do you really want to put one play in that you think is going to be really good? So they've been able to speed all of us up, by having all that information on day one. They have their ideas out there that have obviously been thought through many, many times from 2 really smart dudes. So it's really helped us. I think it's helped the scheme. We've been able to add our things, to it, make adjustments to tie plays together. They actually meet before, they present, where they can tie the run and the pass together, the shifts, the motions, to make plays look like plays. And then I'll normally add a couple more things. And so it's been working how I was hoping it would work. And they've done a phenomenal job. And it's great to have Warren in the room, because when we're talking about if something comes up or, hey, have they ever done this blitz with that coverage behind? If I don't know it, I can just turn to him and get the answer immediately, So it's, our room's it's a good room. It's great to have him in there.
Madison Herzog, is that how you
Hey,
doing?
good. How are you?
Doing good. I wanted to ask about Reese getting back into the mix now that you had that weird injury like 2 days before the first game of the year.
Weird is right.
And obviously his height is a major advantage,
Yes.
particularly with this receiver room. How have you seen him? How have you seen him get back into the swing of things through these 3 games?
Yeah, that injury hurt him. I mean, it's an emotional. It's hard. He's worked hard to become a good receiver, right? And he's for some reason he's a slow starter, right? So last spring, first 2 weeks of spring, he was like getting his feet wet, and he wasn't getting separation, and then by the end of spring he was getting after people. And then this training camp, same thing. First couple weeks he didn't really stand out, and then man, he really hit it, and then he had the injury. So he came back 2 weeks ago, and Coach Bud's all fired up, and I'm like, it's going to be a week or two to get him back, to get him back, just get your feet wet and the game slows down a little bit. He does an unbelievable job in the blocking department. Like just having a guy, you're like, hey, throw it up. And it's a great job by Mark going through the progression. We knew we had one-on-one back there. He put it up high and let him go make a play. And hopefully that's one of many. I remember last year at Michigan State, he had a dig that we kind of threw behind him, a Dover. And then we threw him up a one-on-one, and he made a play. And I was like, here it is. Like, this is a guy. And then after that game is when we found out he was hurt and out for the rest of the year. So I'm hoping for his sake. He's worked so hard to get to this point that he can just start stacking games together, because it's great to have that height. Dayton's another guy that's long and can go. And talk about the young guys. I mean, KJ Parker's a guy who's super dynamic. He finally got to see it, which is good, on special teams, which is huge. And he's just going to continue to get better and better. And so the young guys and then they have the 4 seniors in the room that know what they're doing, and they all bring their own, something different to the table, but they don't bring height to the table, and the two young guys do, So it was great to see him go out there and make a play, and hopefully that's one of many.
I want to ask about Logan Jones, who just got honored with a national recognition today. And he's a guy who came back into this room this year with lots of experience already.
Yep.
Just tell me about how much that helps, having a guy like that stepping in already with so much experience and leadership ability, how much that helps the rest of that offensive line room.
I mean, I can't even think of the right word for a center to have that much experience. I mean, we put a lot on him, and what he's doing athletically up front for us and denting fronts is really special. But what he does for the protections, Mark's, I don't know if I'd say Mark's in charge. I mean, I always say the quarterback's in charge, but we let our center do a ton, and Mark can trump if he needs to, and say, hey, no, I'm going to overtake this. I see something different. But it's not like you have to ever do that to Lojo. Like, he's on it. He sees all the multiple fronts. He gets us where we need to be. He communicates with the quarterback and the running back to let him know what we're doing, and that part is pretty special. And what he's doing post snap, like coming off the ball, climbing to the second level. We ran that reverse last week just so he could get out and run in front. He told me, if I'm going back in, I want to run the reverse. And I said, well, run it first play, And sure enough, he got out in front. He loves that play because he gets to pull. Centers don't get to pull much and get in space, but he wanted it, and it's his favorite play. But yeah, what he's doing for the whole group is really special. He's like the quarterback out there. I mean, you have Mark and Lojo in the middle, and they're making a lot of decisions for you. You got to feel pretty good about us getting into the right call at the right time, and especially with some of the multiple fronts we're seeing. He's on it. He's making calls, and really making it easier for our offense to have success.
Hi, Tim. Jack Leto,
Hey, Jack.
KCRG. Ironic, I want to ask about the first drive last Saturday against Minnesota. Big topic of conversation. Why does Kirk always take the ball first? You watch any football broadcast, and the play-by-play broadcaster will say, well, here come the scripted plays.
Yep.
I'm curious, take me up in the booth. Is there really like 15, 20 plays you have that you want to run first? And obviously, you didn't have that same success on the opening drive against Penn State. What changed on this one? What did you learn from this opening drive that you can take forward into the final 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It was definitely scripted. That's the easy answer. Normally, I've had as low as 11 as up to 18, really depends how many slots I have left on my call sheet. I think last week it was like 15, 16. Now, those are first and second down calls, right? And everyone's different depending on what we're trying to see. There's certain times I want to see if they have an unbalanced check. I got to get that done in the first 10. I want to see, in 11 or 12 in certain formations, how they're going to play us. Definitely want to move the pocket as fast as possible. I want to get them, the D-line, start to get them tired as fast as I can, try to get them sideline to sideline. So there's a lot of different things that go into that. And but last week, I just thought our guys did a great job of executing them, really. The first play, we ran that play for a reason. We wanted to see what the Will linebacker did. We wanted to send a message to them that if they tried to fit this certain run play that way, you couldn't, And Mark pulled it. They covered him, and Mark ran for 8 yards, which, we knew if they covered it well, he'd be free to go get some yards. The weed screen was obviously we've been run that play fairly well. It gets harder and harder to hide him, but he's starting to become better wide receiver, which is fun, But we ran that same play last week, and we ran the bubble to him. And so this time we brought him back underneath. The lineman did an unbelievable job of getting downfield. But I come off that script on third down in the red zone. So I think of that first 15 on that first drive we probably used. I don't even know. You guys probably know how many plays it was. It goes fast for me up there. Probably we used 6 of them, 6 or 7. And then we go to third down. I go to third down calls. We hit the 25-yard line. I'm in a different box, and I go back to it. And, there was a game last year. It was Minnesota last year. I think I had like 20 openers, and I didn't even get at halftime. I wasn't done with them because you end up in the red zone and you're not even on the openers. It's just open field, first 10, first 15, whatever it is. So nothing better than scoring on the first drive. The guys did a good job. That third down was huge. I wish we would have hit the play pass, because we felt pretty solid about that thing. We just didn't execute it well enough. But I think our guys are going to get better and better. Last year we deferred a lot. I know Coach likes to take the ball, and it's exciting for us because especially when you're playing a team that they're going to defer. I mean, there's like a 95% chance we're taking the ball. Like, we know it going in. And I think our guys are, excited about it, and we just got to come out and be focused right away and come off the ball, and I think we did a really good job of it last week.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you. All right. Good to see you.
Good to see you.